Shandy was drunk. And one of the first rules of being drunk is that when a woman is inebriated in that way, you cannot be having any form of intercourse with her. For me, who teaches those people to walk cannot walk. And that's a very humbling. It's a humbling statement and it's a humbling moment if you pick up on that. So hi guys, how are we all doing today? And you're welcome. Okay, so it's good to see you all this week. And I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you and welcome to the new members of this family. You are all welcome indeed. I'm so happy to see you and thank you for, subscribing to this channel. So, today we're talking Tyra Banks and the show After America's Top Model. Now, a lot of us, I just finished watching it today actually. And, I was just really wanted to hear what Tyra was going to say. Tyra Banks, sorry. But prior to that, I had seen a comment, I think it was on TikTok. And the person, it wasn't, I think it was a video, and the person actually said something in the corridors of the purpose of the documentary was to paint Tyra in a better light, in a good light, and somehow for the public to forgive her and make it seem like she was, this amazing, wonderful person. And I was like, okay, that's a thought. We'll see. And so, I was actually looking to do that. I wanted to see how she was going to be made to look, like a better person. Now, mind you, I have always I've always loved Tyra Banks. I think she's one of the most beautiful models ever, She embodies what a black woman, complete voluptuous black woman is. And I think one of the things that is quite endearing or was endearing about her was the fact that she spoke about how her mom protected her a lot when she was in the modeling industry, being that she was of the big size and this and that and that. We're also aware that Tyra and Naomi Campbell have never seen eye to eye. And I think there was a time they had a show where Naomi were supposed to quash whatever beef was happening between them. I don't know if that I don't know if that beef was ever quashed. I don't even know if they ever came around to settling it. I don't know. And nobody knows exactly what it was that caused the issue. But knowing fully well that Naomi Campbell, if there is anything Naomi Campbell gets right, is being a model. Naomi Campbell is in her 50s and she still walks the catwalk and she's doing it marvelously. So I just want to talk about this show because I felt again in all of this, I felt like there was a lot of blaming. There was a lot of people that were, the blame was being pushed away to the network and not to them, right? And again, this was in the 90s. I started watching America's Top Model when it first started. I think I got in up until, I can't remember, I think it was where I think it was at Eva's own I stopped. And I stopped there for a lot of reasons. And those reasons, again, were highlighted, during this documentary. So I did watch the show up to a certain point, and then I stopped, and I decided I didn't think this show was for me anymore. Yes, I did say that. As young as I was at the time, I told myself that this show wasn't for me anymore. And so what was it that was very clear on this show? One of the things that was very clear was that the judges, now Nigel is a lovely soul, right? I'm sorry. Nigel is such a lovely soul, Nigel Barker. J. Manuel and Miss J. And then we had Janice Dickinson or whatever. And then they had Janice Dickinson. And there was also, I think there was a stint with Kimora. And I'm going to come back to all these people. So one of the things that, again, this is 2026. This show aired in the 90s. One of the things that stood out to me was the fact that the girls were body shamed a lot. They were body shamed a lot. And they were body shamed to the point that you saw these girls lose confidence in themselves live on screen. They were so body shamed that they lost confidence. They lost the essence of who they were. And we are all aware of how many of them who gave up from the show. They made these girls, they created so much trauma in these children. Because again, it's very easy to say it happened in the 90s. That was the time. But we can now see that in 2026, these girls are still living with the trauma of what they passed through. And so does time erase trauma? No. Does time undo the wrong that has been carried out? No, it does not do that. And a lot of these girls are still living that trauma. They look back at it and they look back at that time. And all each of them said was, why didn't the network, why didn't production do this for them? Why didn't production do that? Every one of them, none of them were protected in any way. They were not protected at all. They were not. And so if because again, like I said, there was a lot of blaming, there was a lot of this happening and nobody was willing to say, oh, that, none of them, because in my mind, in my opinion, watching them speak, and I think the only person aside from Nigel Barker, watching all of them speak, right, they all knew. And I will not excuse Nigel Barker because he actually did admit that he knew. They all knew that most of the things they were doing, most of the things they were saying to these girls, most of the actions that were being carried out, they knew they were not supposed to be doing them. This is what I got. I'm sorry. If you disagree with me, please feel free to write it in the comment section, right? I'm willing to read all about it. They knew that what they were doing was wrong, but they still did it. The betrayal in this statement now I'm about to say is the fact that Tyra Banks had been vocal, very vocal about the fact that she has been very body conscious and the fact that she was protected. And the fact that she knew how much support and protection she got to make her the person that she is today. And she deprived each and every one of those girls of that. Please color me BS when she comes out and says stuff like, I know that I am one of those people. I'm going to look for the clip somewhere if I can. I know I'm one of those people who have talked about body, blah, 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 blah. But you were carrying out the same things on those girls. You allowed those girls to be body shamed. They all fell sick. So many things, they were dehydrated. You, Tyra Banks, and the network all allowed the BS to happen. To the fact that these girls were throwing up, dehydrated, hospitalized, because you all made them feel like the bones on their body that were already protruding were not protruding enough. Because sometimes these networks, Netflix, I'm speaking to you in this tone, for you to now decide that you want to, again, please, I'm sorry, I may be wrong, but please, if I am, write it in the comment section. For Netflix to now decide that they wanted to put, if you or anyone that you know is suffering from an eating disorder, blah, 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 blah. I don't know whether Netflix, whether you're supposed to be taking the blame or you're supposed to, I don't know what level of consciousness you're trying to do there. But I'm sorry. I'm not saying that you did not, it's not right. You did what you was, but sorry, this was over 20 years ago. This was over 20 years ago. And Tyra Banks and the network, Tyra, who had not been allowed to suffer anorexia, Tyra, who was allowed to blossom and grow as a Victoria's Secret model, Tyra, who was protected by her mother, made those girls suffer, starve themselves to the point of sickness because of the show. Let that sink in. Like I said, there was a lot of this happening and not a lot of this going on. Let me say some of the words that they used on those girls. She has a harsh look. She's too dark. She's old. She looks old. She looks angry. They basically used the black woman trope on the black model, one of the most beautiful girls who was on that show. And I love that beautiful mane of hair you had on. I can't remember her name. And this because of this, it has got me to, anyway, I'll go to that later. And again, so Tyra now decides that, oh no, it's not, and in her mind, she feels like by saying it removes her from blame. When she comes out and says, I know I'm one of those people who have been, or I am this person, I have never stood for this, but you're making it sound as if to say, well, yes, but you have to do it, is for the job. Did I say one of the things that made me stop watching the show? Yes, I was watching the show in Nigeria. Started watching American Top Model in Nigeria. One of the things that made me stop watching the show was the most viral episode with the girl Tyra screamed at. And I can't remember. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'll have to find her name and put it on the screen. The one she screamed at. We're all rooting for you. Tyra may have had a point, but at that point, that girl was not going to be listening to her. I love the fact that there was a girl that walked out on them while they were still speaking, because they were not willing to let them go. They were just willing to punish them, do whatever it is they wanted. It was like watching you scrape and suffer and starve and beg for something that would never get to you. Danielle was worked on. Surgery was carried upon her. Surgery was carried on her. She had cosmetic surgery done to one of the most beautiful assets a black woman can have. Quote me anywhere. If you're Nigerian, you know. If you know, the gap teeth or the gap tooth. That is a beauty standard, has been a beauty standard for the longest time as I could remember. There was nothing wrong with Danielle. Danielle was perfectly fine and perfectly perfect. You made these girls understand that they could not embrace their imperfections, because it is in those imperfections that we are perfect. So Tyra Banks, as much as you'd want to throw the blame at someone, because all the while I heard and listened to you speak, you were acting as though I was watching you so well. You have a way with words. You have a way with the way you express yourself. You are not short of words. You're not short for what to say, but you know how to say it without saying anything at all. And so you were able to say what you wanted to say without actually taking blame, because what you said was that you called these girls 15 years ago and you apologized to them. And I'm wondering, okay, on the reunion, I'm coming to the one that made me shudder the most. I'm coming to that. So it was during a reunion or whatever. I don't know where you said you saw them and you apologized to them. Tyra, you're full of BS. Totally. You're full of BS in every way, shape, or form. I love you, but when we see the truth, let's say it. Yes, you're one of those people that I really, really, you're one of those models. Again, I have never really, but I've never, and maybe I don't have a wide, I don't have a wide, selection of models, because for me, the only models I see are actually black women. So from Alec Weck, and there's Naomi Campbell, there's Iman, and then there's Tyra. I do not know any other ones. I don't see others, right? These are the only ones I know, right? So, I'm sure every one of us have their preferences, but these are the ones, again, because I'm a black person, and they are the ones I actually relate with and more. Now, you started this show. You said you started it as trying to break the barriers and blah, 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 create diversity in the industry. Like I said, unfortunately, you decided that you were going to play the same card that was dealt to many and millions in the industry, but you dealt them on to those girls on the show. And you very well knew that their careers were not going to take off. You knew that there was nothing that was going to come out of anything they were doing. You knew. But you kept going. You kept up the charade. You kept it going. And up until now, you're still keeping up the charade. It's really sad and pathetic. I have to say it. Let's go to Shandy. Shandy was 19 years old. Again, notice that no one, not the network director, not Tyra, not J. Manuel, not Nigel Barker, none of those people, no one actually said or used the word SA or R. We're in 2026, people. What are we talking about here? We are in 2026. Shandy was drunk. And one of the first rules of being drunk is that when a woman is inebriated in that way, you cannot be having any form of intercourse with her. But notice that all of them went away from that word. They all removed SA and R, because when a woman, or even a man, it's not just women, when a man or a woman is inebriated and intercourse happens from one person to the other, it's R. There's no other word for it. That's what it is. So, it's not just that they kept away from using the language that is supposed to have been, but there is evidence. They actually aired it to the world to watch. And while they aired it to the world, Shandy said, I was drunk. You see, that's the thing that is really making my head scatter. That's the one that is really making me, I'm not sure whom I'm supposed to be, that's the one. Shandy didn't say it in 2026. Shandy said it in that 1990 Dickincon In the clip, she said it, I was drunk. It's painful. It's really painful. It's really, really painful. And they aired it, and they were all speaking in hush hush tones. And then it was supposed to be swept on. You see, the thing is, that particular episode that we were talking about, Shandy, like I said, it seemed like it was rushed, and then they moved on to the next thing so that they could say what they wanted to say and go ahead. They didn't want to dwell on it. 15 years later, you come for the reunion. Shandy and Tyra. Shandy said, I don't want to see the clip. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to talk about it. And then what does a manipulator do? She holds her hand and she's talking about the same thing that the person who said, I don't want to talk about, but you held her hand. You're holding her hand like you care. No, you don't. But we all know that you don't, right? But it was because you needed. And you see, look at the faces of all those girls. You see, the thing about it is that when we stay in the presence of people who we deem, we have this celebrity godlike status. And I think that happens to everyone. We kind of lose our person because we're in front of this person who is here, who is this powerful, who is this, who is that, who's that. And so the things that generally you would not do, you will do. Actions that generally you would take, you won't take them. Because nothing stopped Shandy from not speaking up. Nothing stopped Shandy from saying, I don't want to be here right now. I said I didn't want to talk about this. I'm leaving. And you notice that on the faces of each of these girls, they were uncomfortable. There was so much discomfort. And the camera was zooming on each and every one of their faces. And the network actually opened their mouth, or rather the people there, the director and all of them opened their mouth and talked about, these are the first influencers. These are the people that did this. And I'm like, are these people delusional or something? Again, if you think I'm wrong or if you have a different opinion, please put it in the comment section. I'd like to hear it, right? Maybe I'm the one who's not, maybe I'm not seeing things the same way. But if you think, otherwise, please put it in the comment section. I'd love to hear about it. I don't want this video to be so long, and but all of them, because again, at a point, like I said, so this is where I'm going to kind of exonerate Nigel Barker. All of them, from Miss J and J Manuel and Janice Dixon and Tyra, they all spoke like this was, it was fun, it was fine. It was only Nigel who had the reflection, right? And the mind. He was the only one who had the common sense and the reflection to actually say things that, no, this shouldn't have been, and this. No, he was the only one. You could see the remorse on his face. You could see that. But every other person seemed to be like, oh, blah, 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 it's okay. Like nothing is supposed to have gone wrong until it became their turn. And now I'm going to be talking about J Manuel. Because J Manuel realized, okay, I'm not that special after all, when he was being thrown to the curb. Now, again, does it feel good to have a taste of your own medicine? No. But J Manuel, I'm going to say this to you. Yeah, let her be. Somebody playing with your psyche in that manner is not a good thing. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your, whatever it is you're doing, it's not. So, let her be. Because that is somebody who is playing the game of manipulation, who is toying with your psyche in that way. What she's just trying to make you understand is that you're dispensable. You were never important to begin with. That's it. Let's go to Miss J. It's so sad to see Miss J in a wheelchair. I could not have guessed. I thought she was just, sitting down and talking. I had no clue until, the stroke came up. And so it's so sad to see you in that situation, and I'm sorry. And I'm rooting for you because, again, you showed that you were determined. You showed determination. You showed courage. Yes, you said, for me, who teaches those people to walk cannot walk. And that's a very humbling. It's a humbling statement, and it's a humbling moment. If you pick up on that, it's humbling. But I know that you'll get better, and I know you'll walk again. You must, because you have so many people to teach, right? It was also quite lovely that Jay, Manuel, and Nigel came to see you. It's been a year plus you've been in this condition. Miss J, if Tyra hasn't come to see you till now, she ain't coming. I like the fact that you use the word not yet. But if she hasn't made it up until now, she's not going to go. She's not going to make it anymore. She's not coming. It's the hard truth. I pray that I am proven wrong. But you see, life is lifing. And in my opinion, you're in her past now. And I feel like Tyra is deflecting and she does not want to confront anything. That's what I feel. She prefers to be behind the scenes, calling you all sweethearts and blah, 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 blah. She doesn't want to talk about anything. She doesn't want to discuss anything with you. She's not interested. She doesn't want that. For her, that period of her life is in the past. And so you all are in the past. And it's fair. It's okay. So you all should take it as the past. Because when somebody shows you who they are the first time, believe them. She's not showing the world that there is anything wrong, but there is something wrong. And she's playing with all your psychology. And why is she able to do that? Because you have put her on this pedestal. And that pedestal is what she's walking on. So again, this is just the truth, and it's not nice. It doesn't sound good, but that's what it is. You are in the past. You are her past, and she's in another place now. Remember, she said, I live in Australia now. She's moved on. She has a child or two. I don't know. She's married, so you are in her past. And so I think it's also important that you all also get to treat her as your past and keep it moving. And that's all I have to say about it. So yeah, it's a lot of blaming. It's a lot of blaming. It's a lot of not taking responsibility. And I'm not surprised that Ava did not come. I am not. But again, that's all I have to say. I would like to hear from you guys. What do you all think? Again, you have every right to disagree with me. So the comment section is there for you. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye.